Hillbilly Days is returning to Pikeville soon for the first time since 2019. We'll hear from city officials about some changes to this year's festival. And we'll hear from addiction recovery specialists on how the pandemic has impacted alcoholism and efforts for some to quit.
Chances for showers and storms look to increase as we head into the middle of the week. I've got the breakdown coming up as First at 4 continues.
Mountain News First at 4 continues.
The city of Pikeville is well known for its annual Hillbilly Days festival, but the pandemic forced the city to do without for the past 2 years. Now officials are planning for 2022's festival next month and say it may be a bit different this year. WYMT's Jordan Mullins has more from officials in Pikeville about some of the changes.
The city of Pikeville has been without its famous Hillbilly Days festival since 2019, but 2022's festival is drawing closer and officials expect more visitors than ever before.
It's definitely going to be the biggest. We're expecting a large crowd, larger crowd than what we ever had.
Because of this, as well as an incident in 2019 that led to an injury, many safety changes were made to the festival, particularly during the parade.
The parade ordinance has changed considerably since the last parade, Hillbilly Days parade that we had in town.
To ensure folks have fun while also remaining safe.
We have to protect people's safety. So that was the genesis of the revised ordinance.
Celebrating the return of a long-standing tradition. In Pikeville, Jordan Mullins, WYMT Mountain News.
Ellswick said the festival will be staying open a bit later this year as well, and there is a scheduling change with shows and concerts. We'll have more about the changes coming up at 5:30. Today is National Mom and Pop Business Owners Day, a day to highlight family-owned shops like one business in Johnson County that's preparing for its busiest time of year. Griffith Family Farms, operated by Chester and Melissa Griffith, is a farm fresh shop in the Paintsville area with food, flowers, and more available in a rustic space. The shop grew from a roadside stand nearly 6 years ago and into a business that allows the family to work, grow, and learn together.
I guess just helping people as far as is the most rewarding because it not only helps our family, but I think when you produce a healthy product at a good price, that it's a win-win for everybody.
The Griffiths say support from the community is the only thing that allows them to do what they love, and they are grateful to offer something unique to their neighbors.
Another chilly day as we run through the rest of today. Temperatures have remained for many in the 40s as we've gone through the day today. You see the overcast outside from our camera at UVA-wise, mid-40s right now. I-64 at Moorhead, plenty of overcast there as well. But notice a change on the way. Portions of the Kentucky River Valley into the Big Sandy, middle and upper 40s and low 50s. Down to the south, into the Cumberland Valley, they're in the low to middle 50s and even some upper 50s and low to mid 60s. Look at Jacksboro coming in at 64. So some changes on the way in the forecast. That boundary is part of it. You see a few showers trying to work into portions of, let's say, Powell and Menifee counties this afternoon. A few more trying to work through southwest Virginia. A lot of that's not reaching the ground because we don't have a lot of moisture in the air. Well, that's just one part of why we have a severe weather alert day in effect as we head into tomorrow. I'll have the details on that coming up, but mid-40s out there tonight. You'll notice it's milder. We continue to bring milder air back to the mountains as skies stay mostly cloudy. I'll have the very latest on both our fire weather and severe weather threats coming up in just a minute. Steve?
Evan, thank you. During the pandemic, many people experienced a decline in their mental health, which can often result in self-medicating in unhealthy or even dangerous ways. A new study released by the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism in the National Institutes of Health says alcohol-related health issues and deaths spiked during the pandemic. The study says that among adults under the age of 65, alcohol-related deaths actually outnumbered deaths from COVID during the first year of the pandemic.
I think alcohol has, that's the socially acceptable form of a substance that's a bit readily available. And with the state of society right now, the world is at a fever pitch, and people are struggling to cope.
Senior Director for Outpatient Services at Addiction Recovery Care, Jason Merrick, says there is a silver lining in all of this. Throughout the pandemic, regulations with telehealth services made it possible to reach people at an unprecedented level, offering help to those who would not have the opportunity to receive it otherwise. The FDA is expanding the emergency use authorization for all adults over 50 years old to get another COVID-19 booster shot. For both the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, a second booster can be given 4 months after the first. The CDC is not expected to officially recommend a second booster shot, but instead okay shots be given to those who want them. The medical community is mixed on whether additional booster shots are necessary to properly protect people from the virus. The House Select January 6th committee is scrutinizing a nearly 8-hour gap in former President Trump's phone records, some of which occurred during the time rioters were attacking the Capitol building. Committee members have voted to recommend contempt of Congress referrals for 2 more former Trump aides, while also calling on the Biden Justice Department to do more. CBS's Skylar Henry has more from Capitol Hill.
CBS News and the Washington Post report former President Donald Trump's phone records from January 6 that are in the hands of the House committee investigating the Capitol assault contain a nearly 8-hour gap.
People attack the Capitol right at that time that there's this gap. Who was he talking to? What was he doing?
CBS News has confirmed Trump spoke on the phone with Utah Senator Mike Lee and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy during that time frame. House committee members are looking into whether the former president used phones belonging to his aides or so-called burner phone that day.
Do you think the former...
So far on a contempt of Congress referral against former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows.
Attorney General Garland, do your job so that we can do ours.
On another front, the committee is claiming victory after a California federal judge ordered attorney John Eastman, who outlined legal plans to overturn the 2020 election, to turn over his records. In his ruling, Judge David Carter said Eastman and Trump more likely than not engaged in criminal conduct to overturn the election. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Thursday, the House January 6th committee has scheduled testimony with former President Trump's aide and son-in-law, Jared Kushner. The committee's chairman says no decision has been made on whether to call Jenny Thomas, the wife of U.S. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, to testify. Last week, CBS News and the Washington Post obtained her text messages to former Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, which pushed for overturning the 2020 election. President Joe Biden is expected to sign a bill on Tuesday that would make lynching a federal hate crime. Congress approved the legislation earlier this month with overwhelming bipartisan support. It's called the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act of 2022. Till was lynched by a group of white men in 1955 in Mississippi when he was just 14. Till's murder sparked national outrage and was a catalyst for the emerging civil rights movement. Advocates have been trying to pass federal anti-lynching legislation for more than a century. The Owensboro NAACP has partnered with the Southern Poverty Law Center to draw more attention towards the removal of a Confederate monument with a billboard. That billboard reads, "Show love for all, remove Owensboro Davis County Confederate Monument." The NAACP says this has been an ongoing fight since 2017, and the digital sign is a new approach to spread awareness to the movement, and that so it should not sit out in public and should sit in a museum for educational purposes.
This is a way to further promote Owensboro being an accepting and loving place for all people. And in the form of the billboard, it brings attention to the issue, but it's not as confrontational, and it's still promoting the message of love and unity.
Right now, the process of removal is still stuck in litigation. The county has moved to dismiss the case, so it's back in the hands of the judge to make the decision soon on the removal due to lack of evidence of who actually owns the statue. Coming up on First at 4, Americans plan to travel more this year, but it's coming at a cost. We'll have more on the rising cost of travel.
And it's getting active as we head into the remainder, or at least the middle of the work week. I've got the latest coming up next.